Hi everyone. I hope you still stay healthy and being staying at home for the social distancing. Under the COVID-19 that affect a lot of people, and there's some question about how to apply for the sickness EI, especially federal government announced that if you are being quarantined because of the COVID-19, you can apply for the sickness EI even without the medical certificate. So I'm going to put together a short video so you can navigate through the application process. To begin with, let's go to the canada.ca website, and in there will be a shortcut to employment insurance. So we're going to talk about the sickness benefit. And you can spend some time to look at whether you qualify. So the main point is, in order to qualify, you have at least 600 insurable hours for the past 1 year. So that's number one. And then, of course, right now for sickness EI, normally you need a medical certificate, but the special situation, if you're being quarantined and then you don't need that. So let's say see what material you need to get prepared before you apply. Of course, you need your employer information, and you need a social insurance number, and then you need the date for your employment, and also very special, you need your mother's maiden name. There will be one question to ask about that, and then you need to know your postal code. And so you have all this information. Oh, actually, forgot is banking information is also important. So once you have all the information in front of you, and let's go to the application. The first question they will ask you whether you did try to apply 72 hours before. If you do, and then you were given a password for you to reactivate this application. In my case, I just simply just a new application. So there's two types of employee which can apply for this sickness benefit. So you work for someone, so it's a benefit for employee, or you are self-employed. So today I'm just concentrate on just an employee. That means you work for somebody. Also, if you're under this type of program, you will have a reference code, and so right now I don't have any. So what types of benefit I want to talk about? Just sickness benefit. Okay, so there's an explanation about what sickness benefit. So basically, you have to be sick and then off work, and so you can read through that. But in this demo, I just skip it. All right, so now this is the actual application process. Of course, to begin with, you need your social insurance number. And your date of birth. And your last name. And your first name. And is your last name changed at birth? So maybe somebody got married and then changed the last name, your gender. And now the question is your mother's maiden name. Because they need to verify if this is the right information, what you had with Service Canada. So the same question they asked you before. So that's why they need to reconfirm again. So they give you one more chance to look at. If all this is correct, then you can continue. If it's not, you just go back to change it. Now that's the temporary password I mentioned. So you write down this password just in case there's any interrupt in between this application. You can still go back within 72 hours to come back to the same form. All right, so your language, and you can put your email address, or for sure you need a phone number. And also, now for your address, all you need to put in a postal code, and then they will do a search and pop up with the correct street name. They know it's around 9 Avenue, and what's the number of your house, and any other address that you want to input. If it's not, then we just carry on. And if it's any of this status applied to you, put a check mark. Otherwise, we can just skip. All right. Now, this is a bit technical about your tax information. While you're collecting EI, they still give you a T4, but they call it a T4E. So just like when you work for someone and then you will receive a T4. So if you have an online account with Service Canada, you can select this one. Otherwise, most people would just say, send me a paper copy. And also, not to complicate things, and then you can just select basic. Unless you know for sure like this scenario apply to you, and then we select basic and spouse, then they will actually deduct less tax on your EI. Direct deposit, if you had EI before, so they will ask you whether you want to use the same account, or you can choose use the same account, or you can actually input the new account. So there's a three selection run under here. So if you have the banking information, you can do it now. So, but if you say, well, I may not have it in front of me, but very important, you can submit to them later through the report, or you can send it to Service Canada. So, but the last one, if you really don't have any bank account, EI may ask you what's the reason you don't have it. So it's okay, you still can receive your EI, but they just curious. Like I think they really want the money will be direct deposit to your account rather than send you a check. So in this case, so I assume it's a new application, and also I have the banking information with me. Now, to put in your banking information, if you have a checking account, just look at your check. The check will tell you how to fill in all these boxes. So if you don't, just go back to your bank and then ask your bank to give you a printout which will show the branch or transit number, and they know actually they will print one out for you, and then you still have all this information. So branch number, and which bank you use, and what's your actual account number. So very important to put in the right one. Double check before you actually continue. If it's a joint account, and then you need the name, the other name on the check on the bank account. So once you make sure this is correct, let's continue. That's for your banking information. Some additional information about your higher education level. Not really matter if you say, well, college or university or even others. So they just want to know some information. And also if you belong to a union or professional association, so say yes, and then you have to put in the name. If it's not, and then just keep it continue. All right, so we come down to the employer information. So uh, that's the session you need to look at your record of employment, or ROE. That will state all the information in there. So right now, for the example, I will work for this cafe, and we did number of the former employer. So very important to put a number that they can reach your former employer, just in case they have some question. So when did you start, and what's the last day? So based on the economic situation recently, so you may actually just got laid off. So there's a quick way for you to put in that date. You can press this one, or you can just type it in. So that's another question. Are you returning to work? Now, when you apply for sickness EI, you have to say yes. Because according to the employment standard, uh, during your sickness, your employer cannot lay you off. So, especially under this situation, you better put yes. Otherwise, if you say no, you might have to give a reason. So, do you know the date? Well, you can say no, like this is okay, because not everyone know when to return. For people who have the medical certificate, they may have an end date there, and then they can put yes. So remember to say yes here, and this doesn't matter. Okay, now also for the reason, there's only one reason you can pick, because I'm sick, and see actually they add quarantine right here. So those are the only reason you can get your sickness EI. So please don't select any other. Okay, what is your gross pay? So this you can enter by hour, or you can enter the annual income. So it's the one before any deduction. So very important, it's before any deduction. So it's the higher number. So people might have concerns. So if I enter the wrong number, EI will go by your record of employment. So even you enter a different number, still the calculation will be based on the ROE. And also, because you are sick, some company may have sickness benefit, or long-term something like a disability benefit. So are you under those that you are being paid? So if yes, and then you have to fill in the information about what's your payment. If it's no, and then for the demo, I will just say no. We'll just keep going. Now, what's job title? This one you have to enter for them to search. Search might come up with a long list, but just choose something close enough so you don't have to be exact. Uh, they just want to see about your job category. So this is 6513. So this is how you actually enter your job title. All right. So for the record of employment, if you already have it in front of you, there are two situations. Either your employer already sent it to Service Canada electronically, or you might have a paper copy that you have to send in. So that's scenario number one. Or some people actually, since you might actually uh, off work in a hurry, and then you don't even get chance to get that piece of paper. So your employer said, well, they will actually put it in mail, and then you will receive it later. So that will be the second situation. Once you get it, remember to send it to Service Canada. Otherwise, your EI won't get processed. The last two is a bit complicated, so I'm not going to explain in this demo. Okay, so do you have any other jobs for the last year? So say, for example, if you switch from job A to job B, so you will have two ROE. So you have to repeat the process and enter all two ROE. Some people may have a full-time job and a part-time job, and then the same cases. So you still have to enter all the ROE within last 1 year. So the demo, I'm just saying I only have that one job. Okay. So also ask you about your sickness is do you actually maybe under insurance payment because you have a motor vehicle accident? So if it's yes, and then you have to give some more detail about that insurance payout. And also they want to ask you again, so you're applying for the sickness benefit. So make sure the reason that you are sick, that you cannot work. So that's the only reason, and not any other reason. So read through this, and then you have to put a check mark. So that's all you need to do in this page. And also there's a reminder that you need a medical certificate, but not for the quarantine. And also, if for the last 2 years you were in Quebec, and then you actually collect maternity, parental, EI. So if it's a yes, and then you have to keep the date. If it's no, and then just keep carry on. And so are you collecting workers' compensation like WCB payment? So also yes, and then you have to keep some more details. If it's no, and then just keep carry on. And also, are you going to retire in the next year? So if it's yes, then you have to actually answer a bunch of questions. And no, just keep going. Okay, and then For the last employment, like the job you just get stopped it, and then so are you related to the your owner or any family relationship? If it's yes, and then you have to explain a little bit more. If it's no, just keep going. So do you actually a shareholder of a company more than 40%, or yourself actually do you own a company or have a partnership business? So again, if you have those, and then you have to put in the information. Okay, now this one is for people who are actually receiving very low income, and then you have to pay attention because EI want to find out how to calculate your average uh, income in order to pay you 55% of that average earning. So they will base on at least 20 weeks. So if you work more than 20 weeks, that should be fine. But so that means, okay, I work for more than 20 weeks. And then the second question, within those weeks, is your pay actually, is it ups and down or really average? If it's average, then they can actually take the average value. If actually it's fluctuate, that means they want you to actually to look at it carefully. And first of all, and then if it's fluctuate, and then you have to add all those together and then give the average earnings. If the average is still over 1042, that means you are still collecting the maximum EI payment, so you don't have to carry on the next step. So if it's not, that means then you need to enter week by week. So all your payment every week, and then you enter into the table, and they can use the best week to do the calculation. So the variable backs weeks, and lots of people may actually miss this one, then end up they may actually end up have less payment than they should, especially if you have income less than 1042 on the average. So pay attention on this page, but in the demo, so it'll be easier for me to just assume that you have a regular job, and then your income is very normal and almost the same every week. Okay, this questions asking about the last 2 years. So might not make sense to you, but if you don't understand what they're asking, just hit the information. They will tell you a little bit more. So did you receive WCB? Uh, are you unable to work due to medical reason? Do you actually have a group wages insurance benefit? Uh, do you actually were in the labor dispute or strike or lockout? Did you attend any specific training or designated by your company? Were you in jail? And do you actually receive payment from the Wage Earner Protection Program? So this one is talking about if you were working with someone and then they went under bankrupt, and then there's another called Wage Earner Protection Program. So just yes and no question, pretty simple. Just answer it and carry on. So once again, are you just working for someone or you are not self-employed? So just to ensure that maybe some people actually they're being employed but they still have their own business and being self-employed, so they just want to ask one more time. And two more questions, are you actually in the farming business? So if it's not, keep going. So are you actually in any training or planning to go for any training program? So if yes, that means you have to give more detail. Okay, so that's the last one. So they ask you whether you actually fill out this application or you need somebody help. So I guess most people here would be actually would do it themselves. So just say no. So if yes, and then you can put in some more information. And that's all the information you need to put in for Sickness EI. Now, the next 6 pages, you need to pay attention. This is your rights and responsibility. So when you're applying for the Sickness EI, there's something you need to do. One thing is every 2 weeks, and then you have to go online to do a report. So those report, and then you will tell EI that you are not able to work. because of your sickness. So that one question, very particular, you have to answer that way. And the other, and then you can read it through and then see what you don't understand. And also there's another thing is about your medical certificate. So if you are really apply for this sickness EI because you are sick, you have to have that medical certificate. And for the quarantine, and then you don't need to. So once you have the come to the last page, you read through all that and then you understand, then you have to put a check mark here and continue. Now, because this is a demo, I cannot submit this application. So what happened is when after you press continue, there may be a couple more pages, but you will receive a confirmation page from EI saying that they already received your information. They give you a temporary reference number. At that same page, you will see some other information. Number one is very important. If you need to send in any document like your uh, record, ROE, your record of employment, or your medical certificate, you need to send to that particular address. I believe that one is for Alberta, that's in Edmonton. So very important. So you need to do that. And also, there's a link for you to do your online report. Mark that down. So if for coming weeks, like within 2 to 3 weeks, you will receive the letter from EI, they will give you an access code. The access code is for you to do your report. It's a 4-digit number. So once you receive it, combined with your SIN, you will able to use the link to go in to do the report. So that is very important, the first letter. If you don't receive it, and then you might want to check with EI why you didn't receive that one. Normally, right now, because so many people apply, so your application, the process time may take up to 6 to 8 weeks. But the payment will actually pay on the day, on one, there's two ways to do. So there's 1 week after you off work. But there's another because of the COVID-19 right now, you can call Service Canada to request to waive that 1 week waiting time. So that means there's an alternative. You can actually start your EI right away. So that's a phone number for you to call the EI, but the calling volume for sure is lots of people, and you might actually have to wait. So when you call that number that listed on that piece of paper, press 0, and then they will put you in the lineup, and then for operator to talk to you. So that's something I want to share. It looks complicated, but I just want to make it easy, and still you can do the Sickness EI application by yourself while sitting at home. So good luck with your application.